all in? I'm a fan of the Jets. I'm a fan of the Jets. The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets. Ah, the Jets! The Jets!
Greetings to all. Welcome to 2022. Omicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here comes a new variant. Omaha, Corona, Hut 1, Hut 2, nothing infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me and is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking I would make the argument that I do not believe that anyone covering college football does so better than this man because of his historical knowledge of the roots of what college football is, his passion and love for it. Spencer Hall, Full Cast After Dark with Meadowlark Media is something he does college football weekends after the games have been played on Saturday. Shutdown Full Cast is what he does with Holly Anderson more regularly. Thank you, Spencer, for joining us. We were having a conversation, as Stugotz is wont to do, about Alabama in a game that Alabama was not playing in. And I just ask you in general, as we start, your thoughts on everything that happened last night, everything we witnessed.
Well, the most glaring thing is this, that it probably would have been cool to have this conversation yesterday when this was an interesting story, as opposed to today where we're just looking at roadkill and the big truck that is Georgia steaming away into the distance. I don't think this changes a lot about what we know they're capable of in the moment. You do have to frame it this way, though. Repeating is very, very, very difficult. It's something a lot of good teams have failed to do. They didn't. When they were faced with the best chance to do it, they took it, and they absolutely nailed it. It was a laugher by the first quarter. I know some people will say, it was over by halftime. You can bump that up. It was over way sooner. It works. The formula now is pretty simple, and it's what it's always been, which is that if you stack talent deep enough and you don't mess it up, get out of the way, find a decent quarterback, you're going to win, and you will continue to win in dominant, sometimes embarrassing and lopsided fashion.
Greg Cody has made the argument that TCU will not recover from that. I'd make the argument that the season that they had will be good for recruiting, and they had no business being there in the first place. Where do you stand?
Recovery is a subjective term given their goals. What TCU wants to do is they want to go ahead and compete and/or win the Big 12, which, by the way, that's unfinished business. They didn't do that this year. Let's not overlook that. Yes, we did not ding them for making their championship game, their conference championship game, but they didn't win the Big 12. So winning their conference is still on the board as a goal. So, whether they'll recover physically, I agree with Greg. It's going to take them about 2 weeks. It's going to hurt. Because those boys took a whooping.
They did.
Those dudes are going to be very, 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 very sore, because I know the other magical ingredient of the Georgia equation is this. They hit real hard, and they do it the entire game. I don't know if you counted them up like I did, but by my count, 23 different players made tackles for the Georgia defense. 23. They emptied the bench, the locker room, probably pulled a couple dudes out of the stands, and all of them were bruising people. So whether they'll recover, I think they'll be fine. They weren't supposed to be here in the first place. It's a fluke. Nationally, do they matter? No. I mean, honestly, that's not what we're talking about here. TCU is seeking to be a Texas power, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to be successful within context. That's what they're trying to do. And if they get a national spot or a bump, that's fine. Realistically, there's only 5 to 10 teams that are true national teams in terms of recruiting and talent in college football. They ain't one of them, all right? If they manage to class up, bump up, catch a wave, and do this again, cool. But that's not what Sonny Dykes is aiming for. That's not what anyone in the administration is aiming for. Happy to be there. Sad that it happened. On to next year. That's TCU.
But Spencer, TCU after the game did acknowledge that Georgia is just at a higher tier, just a better team, a far more talented team. And how could you not after that game? But if that's the place college football is in, then there's one tier. It's Georgia and Alabama, right?
It's Georgia and Alabama, with Georgia obviously, I think, having the edge right now. Ohio State is right there, and I think evidently you can't help but say that too. Ohio State was one timeout away, I think, from winning that game. If you'll know, they had a fake punt call. It was going to work. It worked on the actual play, which did not count because a timeout was called before then. If you have a receiver who can get open and an offensive line who could buy some time, you're going to give Georgia a run for their money. That's still the plan. Talent meets talent. That's how you beat a team like Georgia. They're not impossible to beat. They don't do anything that's excessively brilliant. Todd Monken had a great game plan last night, but on the whole, they beat you head to head. So you need to have the right collection of heads to meet them. Ohio State can do that. Alabama can do that. And that's really about it, with a tier of sort of like Michigan, USC, Maybe a couple of SEC teams like maybe Tennessee. If you project forward, maybe Miami and Florida State have that. Florida might be on the come up in like 2 years, but honestly, that's a 3 or 4 year project. It's a small club at this point.
Let me ask you a couple of Ohio State questions. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best college receiver I have seen since blank.
Since Jamar Chase. Since Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson at LSU. And when we talk about like all-time teams, by the way, which is one of my favorite things to do, I love it. You'll never solve the problem. You'll never have a conclusive answer. People could just BS about it for days and get real irate about it. Also, it does my favorite thing, which is remembering some guys. I love remembering some guys. Shouts out to David Roth for the OG concept there. That 2019 team is still, to me, the best offensive collection of talent I've ever seen in college football. So Marvin Harrison Jr., by the way, has nothing left to prove. He's an incredible receiver. He runs routes better than some pros. He's strong. He's fast. He is our friend. Like, that is the dude you want to watch play football for the next 10 years.
Why are you making LSU only the best offense ever? I thought that was the best team I've ever seen, period.
It is a team sport, Dan. I'm glad you pointed that out. You need 22 of them and special teams. But they're the best collection of offensive talent because defensively they had a hard assignment, right? Your job there was to get turnovers because you're going to be on the field so many more times than your compatriots, your peers, because you're going to be out there after the offense scores yet another touchdown. So you always have to take that into context. It's very hard for me to say defensively that they're better than, say, your 11 or 12 Alabama teams, whether they're better than last year's Georgia team. Last year's Georgia team, to me, was the best defensive unit I've ever seen in college football. And I'm all in favor of doing this, by the way. Don't wait to say best ever. I think, like, if you look at the way the NFL evaluates, history and a lot of their fans, they will go back and go, well, no team's ever going to be the 85 Bears. Let's be real. The 85 Bears would get waxed by half of the offenses in the NFL today because the dudes are literally bigger. They are bigger. They are faster. They run more schemes. They're smarter. They've done more film work. They're supplemented to the gills, right? 85 Bears didn't have creatine, right? They were working off
85 Bears had the fridge at about 320 doing commercials because he was 40 pounds heavier than everyone else. Now everyone in the sport, Justin Jefferson is 320.
I will not allow this. Show some respect to the monsters of the Midway. Are you telling me that Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers would tear that defense apart?
Go ahead and grab from the bottom of the garbage can there to start the comparison. I appreciate that. Hold up a banana peel and be like, is this your man? No, I am not going to say Sam Darnold could do that. That's absolutely absurd. Am I saying Aaron Rodgers would run them through with a barely 500 Packers team? Honestly, yeah. With that release time?
I'll say it. The offense of the Carolina Panthers, 35 years after the Bears. Go look at the weights of those people involved. The Carolina.
Look at Mike Singletary's eyes. I mean,
C.J. Stroud's performance in that game that was the almost game is the best quarterbacking performance I have seen since blank.
Oh, boy. Anyone of Hendon Hooker's this year? Because Hendon Hooker was outstanding on multiple occasions for the Tennessee Volunteers. Honestly, Max Duggan, I know that we're currently down on Max Duggan because he spent last night getting pile-drived over and over again by no fewer than 20 different guys. But Max Duggan against Kansas State was astonishing in a different way than C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud was technically near perfect against the Georgia Bulldogs. So I would say going back maybe, Hendon Hooker versus Alabama. That was the other game this year that I thought somebody had played up to their maximum potential under very difficult circumstances. If you want to know who had the most fun this year, we don't tend to discuss that, right? But the two most fun teams to watch, TCU, because they just pulled off crap every week that they had no right pulling off, which is great. I support that. All teams should do that. And two, Tennessee. Tennessee was a blast to watch the entire year. Like, even when they face planted against Georgia, they were still taking big swings.
Tennessee beat Alabama, and Stugotz, very casually watching the sport this year, just says put Alabama in all of the important games. Alabama wasn't that good this year, but if they'd been in that game last night, it would have been different than that. So when Stugotz and Greg Cody argue on behalf of, can we just make the final game Georgia-Alabama next year? Just at the end, no matter what happens, you say right. What to that?
Well, it would be better than TCU. I feel like I'm on solid ground saying that they would be more competitive than your average Big 12 team. But Spencer, Texas almost beat Alabama this year, the team that you want in the final. Yeah, that's true. It wasn't with a month to prepare. It wasn't with a month to recover. It wasn't for all of the stakes and monies. So you could go ahead and you could plug Georgia and Alabama in there every year, but I like the random moonshots. I like a little bit of the what the hellness to our matchups. I'm totally fine with all of this happening because I have a memory longer than 3 days. Sometimes it stretches to like a week. I was fond of watching Michigan and Michigan lose to TCU. I thought that was entertaining as hell. I love that. You need to look at like the playoff as a whole and say we had 2/3 of the product was outstanding. 2/3 of it was amazing. And then kind of like WrestleMania, the final didn't deliver, right? I love the undercard though. And the undercard's most of what you're watching. So I'll take it.
I want the main event to be better. How long do you think it's going to take Deion Sanders to turn Colorado into a national powerhouse?
That would take a while. How long is it going to take him to get a better job out of it? 2 years.
And what's the better job going to be?
Pretty much anything. That's a terrible gig. That's an awful gig. Like if he went from Colorado to Oregon State, that's probably an upgrade at this point. He's looking for bigger fish, though.
Spencer, if he waited, would he have gotten a better job? Meaning Harbaugh goes, he leaves, someone else goes and slides into the Michigan job. Would Deion have gotten a better job?
How dare you say that? God told him to go get that job, Stugotz. So who am I to argue with God?
Right.
Deion Sanders, God, who has a personal line directed straight to him.
Amen.
You think that Deion Sanders making that kind of money, it's an argument that I have had with Mike Ryan. He says that that amount of money is a huge amount of money for an unproven coach. I say, given what is changing in that sport, given what the television dollars are, given that he is in the commercials with Saban, and given that he gives your program instant flash, I would say you can't even pay him enough, that he's better than all of these other guys just in name recognition and selling you tickets before you've even started.
Well, first, let's back up and say this. He has to get paid first, and Colorado, in the opening press conference by its own admission, did not have the money to pay him. That was money en route. It was going to happen. So let's hope he gets paid for that, just on the behalf of all workers who have contracts. The second thing is this, that I agree that you could pay him whatever because the floor is so low at Colorado, and the ceiling is TBD. So if they have any kind of success, if we get Colorado on the map at all, then that's going to pay off for them in ways well and beyond the football field. I mean, there are insane but accurate studies that show that if you're successful in football, your enrollment numbers, your application numbers, they go up. That's a fact. And as weird as that is, the University of Colorado and their athletics department, they know that this will work, and they know that Deion will get talent. Like, we're talking about talent, right? Y'all are in Miami, and the one thing that's keeping Miami fans alive is the fact that despite what happens on the field, Mario Cristobal just keeps putting them in the grocery cart and keeps bringing in 4 and 5 stars, right? What's going to happen to them afterwards, that is a question of some conjecture. I'll let y'all have that. I personally think he likes to take, prime rib and turn it into hamburger. That's what you get with the Mario Cristobal experience, right? We got some filet mignon. Cool. You're getting hamburgers. That's what we're getting.
You may have just answered my question in saying that, but in the portal era and with the way Mario recruits, if it isn't Miami, who is the program poised to sort of make a fast track into that Alabama-Georgia echelon?
Well, very few. There are some guys who are currently lagging a little bit. I feel like Clemson could compete with them if they had a quarterback and a couple of different skill players, but they've been sort of allergic to offensive football lately, the kind that you need in order to score points and keep up with Alabama and even with Georgia, who now they've apparently figured out the offensive challenges that plagued Kirby Smart in the first 3 or 4 years of his reign, thanks to the blessings of a junior college quarterback whose only other offers were like Middle Tennessee State and Jones College. Like sometimes the sport works that way. Other teams, usual suspects. If USC actually got their defense in line and recruited really well, USC sits in the middle of, one of our nation's 2 largest cities, and they are effectively the only show in town when it comes to college football, pardon to UCLA. They'll always sort of be a second banana to whatever USC is putting on the field and whatever they're recruiting. So they're possible. I don't feel like Texas is ever there just because, I don't know, Austin makes people chill. I have no good theory as to why Texas isn't a superpower, right? Other than this, Austin makes people too relaxed. It's too nice.
Arch Manning's about to make them a superpower, is he not?
No.
Why?
No. Like Arch. Look at who Arch Manning played in high school. Right? Anybody who says that Arch Manning is college ready, I think is doing a disservice to anybody who's actually done all of the prep work playing in like big high school conferences. And in places where there's real competition. Like, who was ready? Kyler Murray. Go look where Kyler Murray played high school. Kyler Murray was effectively playing in the Sun Belt in high school, right? He came into college football totally ready because he was playing in those high school stadiums that, seat like 15,000 and weight rooms, which rival anything that you would see in the Big 12. Arch Manning needs time. That's not a diss, by the way. He needs time, and he needs time to develop, because the first time he goes out there and sees how big and fast everybody is, it'll be real scary.
Spencer, thank you for being on with us. Again, a reminder to the audience, they're wildly popular podcasts. They're tangentially about college football, but the college football there, the analysis with Holly Anderson is also excellent. Shutdown Fullcast and Fullcast After Dark. Thank you, sir. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all.
I want to talk to him more about things outside of college football because he knows a great deal. He knows a lot about a lot, so we will do that with him next time, and we will do that with him in the offseason. Stugotz, I wanted to ask you from last night. I wanted to ask the group from last night. I love everything that Pat McAfee is doing. Pat McAfee doesn't give a bleep. Pat McAfee doesn't need ESPN, so basically he's just fooling around and doing all sorts of sexual double entendre during the podcast because he's a professional wrestler, and he has very smartly used platforms bigger than his own to make his platform something that is big and relevant and fun and energetic. And he is doing the broadcast last night. I wonder if any of you, he was doing it on ESPN2, and it's perfect to do on ESPN2 because once that game empties, I wonder how many people went over there to just be like, can someone entertain me beyond what the football is? Because the football's not going to do it tonight. But I wonder if any of you noticed or had the feeling, as I did yesterday, how that spot was ours if we had just executed Dunk Le Batard correctly. If you guys, did any of you have, like, that is absolutely so. They were building that path, and all I did the week after we did Dunk Le Batard was argue with executives, and our time ended at ESPN in the stream. That opening was there for us on a live streaming broadcast, and I'm wondering if any of you processed that last night while watching Pat McAfee and his crew do whatever it is that they wanted to during a telecast.
Well, is it just like the path of the game is 65-7? Let's do some action. Let's do some hijinks and have some fun.
Oh, but he's going to do that either way, though, right?
No, but that's exactly the lane, like you said.
No, but that game works out to his advantage because you don't need your traditional broadcast. Someone entertain me through this 65-7 drubbing.
I mean, a lot of people just turned it off, which is probably probably the wise thing to do. But yeah, I mean, like that is sort of the moment for alternate entertainment to shine. ESPN has been doing that for a long time at those megacasts. I missed the one with the college coaches breaking down plays. I know it's chaotic, but they didn't do it last night, and I missed it as an option. I like sort of learning one or two football nuggets. But yeah, I mean, of course the entertainment option was there for many to take, and McAfee's got it.
The coach's room. I mean, Coach Adazio.
Oh, man.
He's fantastic.
I have to admit, I looked for it too. I have to admit, it's not anything I ever watched for a long time, but I like to check in on the coach's room.
You just want the coach of Illinois telling you about line play. That's really all you want.
Who is the coach?
It's Brett Bielema.
I just love them. I just love them all addressing each other as coach. It's just 3 straight hours of being like, Coach, see that? Yeah, Coach.
So
Good job, Coach.
You mean to tell me that ESPN wasn't a fan of Chris Coley juggling oranges at halftime? They didn't like that?
They just would
That
have
was a different event.
preferred
That was another failed
that
live one.
Dunk Le Batard be a different thing than me and Ron McGill showing up drunk and cursing. Probably is what they wanted that to be.
Well, I did my job correctly. I had clear in that one. In my portion of Dunk Le Batard. I won the event.
We didn't make the watch-alongs easy for management, I would say.
Can you take us behind the scenes there, Billy?
No,
because
it's better not to.
But you're saying it could have been us.
well,
were we processing that last night?
Not only
I was.
I was when I was having a conversation with Stugotz. Should we do a watch-along on Zoom? And then I thought, they're doing one on the field. I wonder which one people will watch.
all I remember about what happened, I told this story before, you've heard it before, is that at the end of Dunk Le Batard, Mike Ryan is physically on his knees in the other room, a messy room that everyone had left, and it had been a disaster of pretty large proportions. And Mike Ryan was on his knees, wounded, and he was saying, man, that couldn't have gone a lot worse than it did. And then someone came and handed him the check for everything that had been consumed by our people there.
Oh, my God.
As he was saying that. But, Billy, I don't know what your experience was. See, Billy, there's all sorts of stuff that's happened at ESPN with you and trying to run interference on management and stuff.
What?
That I just haven't gotten hit with whatever it is that the trouble is that you felt, because there was just a layer between me and most of that. So I don't
very
know
much
what you
felt
experienced
like
there.
the child in the middle of a divorce for a long time there, where I was the one that people went to for many different things, and I had to try to put out fires on both ends. I don't lash out at you. That was Tony asking if I lash out at him, but his
I think that's why he
microphone was
lashes
off.
out on me, Dan.
No.
Yeah. Because of ESPN? Yeah. He's just got some stuff internally that he feels like
Do you guys
a good outlet to bury me with. I don't know.
Do you guys remember, not to make this about Tony, you guys remember when we did Freedom for 24 hours?
Why are you going to do this?
Tony's official first day with us.
Why are you going to do this? What's the point of
I'm
this?
just asking.
No, you're not asking.
We're talking about our time at ESPN.
No,
and I was
that has
thinking
nothing
back.
to do with ESPN.
Yeah, it was your first day with
No,
us
it
from
was
ESPN.
not.
It
No,
wasn't.
I mean, Tony, you injected yourself into this conversation.
No,
It's your fault, buddy.
No. He
Billy-
could have just brushed it back.
Do you guys remember what it said? Tony behind the scenes built up this giant Ric Flair reveal where he came out and there was like a whole camera crew following him, and the big reveal was Tony's here now. And then like halfway through, we're like, what are we doing this for? And then Tony went through with it anyway.
I didn't go through with it. I didn't have the Ric Flair boa. I had the wig and everything. As you could tell, it was a little hectic that day.
Yeah.
Things were happening, and I felt, you know what? In a point of judgment, I was like, this may not be the best thing to do right now. Let's not do it. So I bailed.
Chris
For
Cody,
Dan.
why are you pointing a thumb over at Billy? And Billy's just
he
got
brings
a
up things that he
maniacal
knows
smile.
are just
on-
gonna like.
Yes.
like
He's not doing it to me today. I'm not gonna.
He's
I'm
already
falling in
done
that
it.
trap.
I
I'm
had,
falling in that trap.
I had a conversation with Stugotz yesterday, and I said I felt very badly about how the situation with Tony
sure you
played
did.
out yesterday. I wish
did.
that would have gone differently.
Yeah.
How
Why are
do
you
you wish it
smiling?
could have gone? How do you wish it could have gone? Differently to you is what?
Yeah. All right, Tony. I want to slow down for a second and allow the audience to
Super
absorb
chill.
what it
I am
is.
super chill.
Billy,
Man. I don't know why I'm being slowed
Okay.
down. I'm very chill.
All right. So, but Billy,
I'm gonna step away from the mic because I don't have a chair. Somebody took my chair. What?
We have
Somebody
an
took my
extra
chair. I
one.
don't have a
If
chair here.
you
now.
want this one? Here, let's all just slide down a chair.
No, I don't want it. Go ahead, Dan.
How long have you not had a chair for?
This week.
We're trying to do a show, Tony.
How do we feel?
Stand back to you.
This is your back.
How do
Took your chair.
How do we feel about sitting in a chair after someone's been sitting in it for a while?
like it.
I don't mind the warmth. Some people get uncomfortable. If I sit down, some people, if they sit down, feel the warmth of someone else, they're like, oh, like, I think it's nice.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't either.
You don't know what's been done in that chair.
I mean, I'm just assuming sitting has been done in the chair.
Yeah.
Right.
It's warm.
More than that goes on.
What are
Yeah.
you assuming's been done in the chair?
I mean, especially if it's warm.
Yeah. I like a warm chair. I don't mind if someone warms it up for me. I'm good
No.
with that. Yeah.
No, because you know it's coming from the butt. That's like butt warmth. I
Thank
don't
you.
want others' butt
Any warmth is okay warmth.
No.
No, Billy's
I
right.
don't like a cold chair. A cold
No.
chair is bad.
Billy, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Which kind of person are you? Somebody who likes a chair that is warm from somebody else's butt? Or somebody who does not like a chair that is warm from somebody else's butt?
I never know where we're going to end up. I never know where we're going to end up.
You actually like warm chairs from other people's butts?
I do. It doesn't bother me at all. If I sit down, like, because people get self-conscious about it. Like, if someone stands up and they see me coming over, they'll be like, oh,
Right.
I was just sitting there. Like,
Do you need to see who was sitting in the chair beforehand? I'd rather not know personally.
It also doesn't apply to the toilet seat, correct?
No. That's a different warmth. That's the one bad
I love
warmth.
a warm toilet seat,
No,
though.
that-
Oh, my God.
That is a terrible feeling.
Warmth from that?
That's a
No. Just, warm because it's an option.
But there are some bathrooms that are like very packed. So it's like one person comes out, one person goes in. If I see somebody walk out of a stall and I walk into that stall and then I sit down and it's warm, I don't like that feeling. I just said there are no bad warms. The toilet warm is not a good
So
warm.
hold on, like for a chair, do you look like this sounds
That's
bad?
direct ass to ass.
Do you look like specifically for like big butted people to get up from chairs, thinking this will be warmer than another chair?
Right, like my friend Joey. If he's ever sitting in a chair, I want to sit in that chair after.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
You've got a specific friend whose
Well, he's
chair
a
like.
he's
a bigger
fellow. He's a plus guy, so no one warms a chair like Joey. I always tell him.
Wow, what a compliment.
Put that on the poll as well, Guillermo. Does anyone warm a chair like Fat Joey?
We can leave out the fat part.
I will say this. I saw Joey at Moss. He seems to have slimmed down.
He has. He fluctuates. He's one of those guys. He'll go down 100, up
Okay,
100.
make it fluctuating Fat Joey. Ron McGill next.
I was so close to just blurting out Frito.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby, one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're all drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
Get it! I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey guys,
Great.
You gonna shotgun a beer or what?
I don't feel so good.
I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Let's do another round of shots.
racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me at Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles.
We will get to Ron McGill in just a second, but first we've got a top 5 seat warmers. Is it the history of sports? Is it the history of history? What is it, Stugotz? Top 5 seat warmers.
Just history. That's it. The history of the world.
All right. Number 5, according to Greg Cody, is
former Chicago Bears head coach Abe Gibran.
Number 4, according to Chris Cody.
This is tough. I'm gonna leave my man Joey out, and I'm going Mike McCarthy.
Oh, wow.
Number 3, so it's just going to be football coaches. Number 3, it'll be all of history or just fat football coaches. Number 3, Chris Whittingham.
Ralph Friesian.
Number 2, Billy.
Kevin Nagandi.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Have you seen how he sits on a chair on SportsCenter? Holy shit.
He's right.
Number 1, Stugotz.
Frito. Josh Friedman.
Wow. Standing ovation. Great one.
Thank you.
Great one.
Thank you. Thank you. All of us. Thank you.
I'm
Especially that coach that Greg said.
Roy, do you have a question for Ron McGill?
Yeah, Ron, I saw a video of a moose shaking off his antlers. Is that like a common occurrence again for hoofstock or elk or something like that?
Well, it's an occurrence for any kind of deer. Understand the moose is the largest type of deer in the world. People confuse deer and antelope and cattle for that matter all the time. The big difference is that deer have antlers. Antlers grow every year and they fall off every year. And with each successive year, the antlers get larger and larger. That's why, you look for a 5-point buck, 6-point buck, 8-point buck. Those are the older animals, but they fall off. Antelope have horns. Horns don't have any branches on them like antlers do. If a horn breaks off, it'll never grow back. So at the end of every breeding season, all deer, which the moose is the largest type of deer in the world, will shed their antlers. They fall off.
Explain that to me, because I hadn't seen that either, Roy. The video that you're talking about, basically shaking its head and the antlers fall off.
Yeah, this was a Ring camera video, and it showed this moose walking up to the door, and he just started shaking, and apparently it just fell right off, and the moose got startled and just ran off.
Startled by something that Ron McGill is saying shouldn't startle him. That it's something we should know, and he should know it.
Well, I don't know if he should know it, but understand a moose is the largest deer, and their antlers are humongous, depending on the size of that moose. So it's something that happens to the moose every year, at least the male moose, because the females don't grow the antlers. And antlers are they're sought after by collectors all the time. People go in the woods looking for those antlers to make things like lamps and all kinds of little trophy things. And also dogs and animals love to chew on them. They're good for their teeth.
Ron, when it comes to humans, like take me for instance, I can be anywhere from, unless I have some issue with me, I can be anywhere from 5 feet to 7 and change feet tall. So that's a wide range. When it comes to animals like dogs, we don't see a lot of wide.
What do you mean you can be from 5 to 7 feet tall?
What he's saying is a human being, you're 5 to 7 feet tall.
A human, not you.
Well,
Any
Ron was
human.
following.
Right,
Ron was
not you
following.
personally, right?
Okay.
But it sounded like you could be
You did
at
say
different
take
times.
me, for example.
Right.
Okay.
I knew exactly what you meant.
Thank
Chris.
you, Ron.
Human, yes.
So with dogs or other animals, what is the range in size, and which animal has the widest range?
Well, it can be huge. I mean, first of all, there's a big difference. A lot of times it's called sexual dimorphism between males and females. Elephants are a classic example. A big female elephant might be 8,000 pounds. A big male can be 15,000 pounds, almost twice the size, just in males and females. Same things with alligators. Bulls get much bigger than the females. In individuals themselves, it fluctuates. When you talk about dogs, so you can look at the breed of a German Shepherd, for instance, and German Shepherds can range anywhere from 70 to 150 pounds, depending on the dog itself. So it's just like human beings. You get fluctuations. I don't think it's as dramatic as you see in humans, but it is dramatic in different races. For instance, in human races, you might see some smaller races. A lot of indigenous people, forest people tend to be very small in stature. And then you have some of the, the open plains people that are much taller in stature. So you see the same thing in dogs, everything from a Chihuahua to a Great Dane.
Let me ask you a follow-up question, though, because Chris Cody, in one of the most epically poorly worded questions in the history of the show, also got wrong and offended his friend Brad Williams because he excluded an entire group of little people. How often, or is it even possible for an elephant, for example, to be the equivalent of a little person, where there are just some animals that don't end up growing very much at all?
That's a genetic mutation, generally, when we're talking about little people or dwarfism. Usually it does happen in the wild, but the animal in the wild usually does not survive. So the wild can be very cruel in that aspect. So survival of the fittest in the wild. It has happened. We have what we call miniature horses. These are animals that are just bred for that size. So they are a type of horse, but they're a miniature breed, and they're surviving that way because they're bred under human care specifically for that size.
But that will happen with an elephant? There will be an elephant that simply doesn't grow to much larger than the size of a baby elephant?
It certainly is possible, Dan. I don't know firsthand if it has happened, but it certainly is possible because that type of genetic mutation is possible in all mammals.
Tony, what do you have for Ron McGill?
Ron, last night my wife and I were talking, and I'd actually like to go around the room here once I finish this to see what everybody's preference is. We were having a little spoon, big spoon conversation. I like being the little spoon.
Really?
Is there something in the animal kingdom, kind of close to big spoon, little spoon situation? Do animals care?
I see animals spooning all the time. That can go from all kinds of things, from rodents to mammals. I don't necessarily see it as much in birds, even though you'll see that in clutches and nests. Chicks will get together, and I guess people could call it spooning, even though it's not really that position. But I see it a lot, especially in things like, squirrels. You see it in primates. You see it in all kinds of things. As far as the positioning goes, I can't tell you off the top of my head whether it's the male that likes to be the dominant spoon or the female that likes to be the dominant spoon. Me personally, I like to be the dominant spoon. I like to be on the outside of the spoon and have her all cuddled up inside of me.
Baby.
Chris Cody, big spoon, little spoon.
Big spoon.
Billy, big spoon. That didn't deserve a wow. Big spoon, little spoon. Billy.
I ask, what spoon do you want to be today? I'll be the other spoon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Roy.
Whatever's going to get me to sleep faster. I don't care.
So I got two non-answers. Let me move on to other questions.
Big spoon, Dan.
For Billy. I don't want your no
Big
thanks.
spoon.
No thanks to any of you anymore.
Boon.
Greg Cody, what do you have for Ron McGill?
Hey, Ron. The San Antonio Zoo has an annual fundraiser called Cry Me a Cockroach, in which donors get to name a cockroach after an ex and have that live cockroach fed to an animal. And it makes me wonder, whether it's insects or maybe rodents, is it common for zoos to feed live animals to animals, or is that like unheard of?
It's not common. And credit to the San Antonio Zoo, but that was actually started up at the Bronx Zoo in New York. They're the ones who made the roach the eggs and feed it to someone else. But as far as insects go, yes, live all the time. We're feeding live insects, whether they be worms, grubs, mealworms, crickets, roaches, things like that. Mammals, no. People have the misconception with snakes, you must feed them live because snakes won't eat dead. That's not true at all. We always try to condition all of our snakes to eat dead. What we do is we get all of our mammal food items, prey items like mice and rats and such, they are delivered to us humanely euthanized using a gas that then dissipates, and then we freeze them. And they come out like frozen dinners, basically.
Wow.
And what we do is for snakes, for instance, they'll say, well, it's not going to eat a defrosted rat because it's too cold. Well, we can trick a rat. We can trick the snake that way. What we do is I've gone so far as taking a hairdryer and you heat it up with a hairdryer, and then you wiggle the rat on an end of some tongs in front of the snake's face, and it feels a warm rat, and it sees it wiggling, boom, and it swallows it. Once it grabs it, it's not smart enough to think, I didn't kill it. It was dead when I got it. It's like, I'm killing it, and we'll swallow it. And then you can go on from there. We have snakes, for instance, that will only eat fish, right? Well, we can't keep getting fish, but what we do is we get a can of sardines, we take the sardine, we rub it on the dead mouse, and then it bites that mouse thinking it's a sardine. They're so dependent on their sense of smell and taste. It's not vision like people think. So you can fool them. We don't want to feed it live, because if you feed a live mouse to a snake, that mouse, in a way to try to defend itself, will bite the snake many times in the mouth and cause a wound in the mucous membrane of the mouth that can become very infected. It's a huge problem with snakes, and it could lead to the death of the snake. So it's humane for both parties when we feed it dead.
The job of feeding the sardine that has been rubbed on a rat, that's something you give to employees you do not like, right?
You know, most of us who work in this field, we actually enjoy those types of things. We enjoy the challenges. What are we going to do to kind of trick this animal to eat and then get it going normally? It's ingenious. I mean, animal science people are really quite inventive when they come to, you know, getting an animal to do the things it needs to do to live a healthy life without risking it to injury.
What would you say are the 3 most difficult animals to feed?
You know, it depends what you're talking about. Things like anteaters, pangolins, these are animals that are very specific in their diets. We cannot get, you know, a ton of ants, a ton of termites delivered to feed these animals. So we have to come up with a somewhat commercial diet. And we, you know, our nutritionist comes up with a blend, all kinds of things. We'll take a bunch of mealworms and stuff. When we put it in a blender, it comes out like a big brown goop. And we can condition the animals to love that. They get all their nutrients and they eat it that way. So some animals have very specific diets. You know, koalas, for instance, they only eat eucalyptus, but only certain species of eucalyptus and only certain leaves on a tree. They only like the fresh leaves. They don't like the old leaves. And their taste changes from one species to another. So it can be very picky with the koalas. We got to count their poops every morning to make sure they're eating enough. We actually count the number of pellets that come out of their butts every morning, and we weigh them, of course, on a regular basis to make sure they're eating enough, because it's such a slow metabolism.
All right, what are the 3 worst jobs at the zoo? The most unpleasant tasks. The 3 most
whoever's doing that has to be one of them.
The 3 most unpleasant tasks.
No, koala poops aren't that bad at all. They're just little like raisin pellets. I think in many respects, the veterinarians have the worst job, because understand, everything that lives is going to one day die. And when it dies here, it has to go through a necropsy. And when you're doing a necropsy on a large animal, you know, you really have to basically section that animal out. You have to take all kinds of tissue samples. It can be uncomfortable. It can be a little bit nauseating for people who have a very sensitive sense of smell. It's not an easy job, and it's a physically demanding job. I mean, it's incredibly tiring. People think, oh, the veterinarian, you know, they just dress up in their nice gowns and they're in surgery doing things with their little delicate surgical hands. And, you know, when you got to do a necropsy on something, you know, like a camel or a zebra, or God forbid, an elephant, that is a multiple day job that will have you immersed in all kinds of bodily fluids, all kinds of tissues, incredible smells that, you know, even make me sometimes have an involuntary gag reflex. So it can be very powerful.
What would be second place on that list of unpleasant tasks?
I guess recycling the poop. We have a, Zoodoo recycling bin where we have to take all the poop and we put it into the bin and we turn it in the bin so it recycles into a nice soil additive that we use as an organic additive throughout the zoo. So I think when you're kind of shoveling all that stuff and putting it into the bin, watching it spin and coming out and then packing it into the buckets as an additive, that probably is not the most pleasant thing.
Can we change the imaging on our show for the week to call this show Zoodoo?
Please.
Billy, what do you have for Ron McGill?
Ron, I was at Animal Kingdom over the weekend, and I saw 3 giraffes laying down, which they told us was a very rare occurrence, and it was a sign of comfort. And it's something that I guess I had never really thought of, the fact that giraffes are always standing every time that I see them. Is that uncommon to see giraffes kind of laying down or sitting down? And 2, what other strange animal sighting is there that people see that they kind of take for granted because they don't realize that it's a sign of comfort that they wouldn't see in the wild?
Well, giraffe laying down under human care in zoos is not uncommon. I see our giraffe doing it all the time. It is very uncommon in the wild. I've been to Africa many times, and I think one time in all my many trips I've ever seen a giraffe not even laying down, just kind of sitting down, because of course they become much more susceptible to predation when they get down on the ground that way. So their instinct is to stay up. Giraffe have an ability to actually sleep standing up. Something that you'd see in a zoo that you wouldn't see in the wild, I guess out of a comfort level, is just able to approach a lot of the animals that you see here, especially things like birds, birds of prey and things like that. When you're able to get within 10, 15 feet, of an eagle, a condor, animals like that, where they don't try to fly away, those are animals that have all been habituated to human presence, so you don't have that flight distance that you normally see in the wild. Sometimes you may even see an elephant lay down, even though that does happen in the wild quite a bit. People don't usually see it because it happens in the evening, but that's not a very common occurrence.
Ron, they say that if a bird poops on you, it's good luck. Is it?
I should have the best luck in the world then, because I have been pooped on by more birds than I can ever explain. Listen, I want to believe it is. It's never been bad luck. I've never had anything bad happen to me afterwards. I've lived a pretty good life, so I'm thinking that all those bird craps on my head and everywhere else have been good.
Ron, what would you say is what you would describe as the rarest thing you have seen at the zoo in 40 plus years doing this? Go ahead. You have an answer for that?
No, I don't. That's a good question. I've never been asked that. The rarest thing I've ever seen in the zoo.
The reason I asked the question is Billy goes there, and he may or may not know that giraffes sleeping or laying on the ground is a normal thing. But what's something that you or somebody at the zoo has happened upon where you were like, holy shit, you won't believe this. This animal just did this.
Oh, I'll tell you what it was. And it was something that actually changed our belief. Crocodiles have been known, the male crocodiles are known to be cannibalistic, that they eat their young. So whenever we have a clutch of crocodile eggs laid, we take them out of the nest, we artificially incubate them to make sure that the males don't go in there and kill the babies. Well, one year, we didn't actually get all the eggs. Not to our knowledge, at least. We thought we'd gotten all the eggs. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the crocodile exhibit, and there's a baby. There's a hatchling. And it's not only in the exhibit with the male, it's right on top of the male's head. And the male did not do anything. The male actually seemed to be protective of it, which kind of changed our train of thought on this, because we all thought, well, the male's going to eat it. Only females defend their young. Well, in that case, no. And I actually took a picture of this little baby crocodile right next to the male's head, where all he did do was open his mouth and go to the side, he would have eaten it. But he didn't do it. So that was kind of a thing where I went, oh, and it kind of changed our approach on how we looked at male crocodilians.
Ron, thank you for being on with us. We'll talk to you again next week, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a good week. Take care.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Justin Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms.
I don't know how in all the Dom Kang chaos that you guys didn't tell us this story. Are you guys aware that Lewis feels like he got assaulted on the Metro Rail on the way over there? Like, first of all, I was stunned that anyone was on the Metro Rail from our show, because
there was a shark on that once.
There was an actual shark on the Metro Rail.
Yeah, Google it.
Go ahead and Google. There was somebody brought
there was a dead shark.
A dead shark on the Metro Rail.
Greg Norman?
What happened was we were on our way to the museum, and sometimes when you live in South Miami, you can take the Metro Rail all the way up. So we're halfway there. Well, whatever, Billy. Don't talk to me.
Why didn't
number one, is Lewis okay?
Why didn't this?
All right?
No.
Yeah, he's good.
Give a thumbs up again. You have a microphone.
That's not number one, Mike. That's not number one.
That's not number one.
No, number one is not.
Guys, Tony doesn't have, or no, Lewis doesn't have a microphone.
Lewis doesn't. I do.
Tony does. Lewis does it.
Just
correct.
To him.
Yeah.
Write that down, Stu.
I did.
Okay,
just Tony's not going to give up that mic.
No, we can. You want to give it?
Confirmed.
okay.
Shark was on the Metro Rail.
So he's on the Metro Mover, right? And we're on our way. We got to get off on the Freedom Tower. That's where the the stop is.
Number one is Lewis okay? Number one is where the hell's the content? Because you're about to tell a story about Lewis feeling like he was assaulted.
He was assaulted.
And we have no video.
We have no video of it because if we did, we'd be very rich men. Because you know what? We'd sue the city and we'd have Billy Corbin on the case and this whole thing would be crazy.
Well, why was this not told to me yesterday except off air? Like, why is a content company doing stuff off air more interesting than the stuff that's happening on air?
Litigation, Dan.
As Dom King can't get close to the Jokic brothers and Jokic parties all over Miami and we never get to see him.
I think he could have gotten closer than he did.
I don't think he even tried to get closer than he did.
We tried, but it was halftime, and they started going to the little club underneath, so.
Okay, good effort. Meadowlark always chasing its journalistic dreams to the end.
So we're on the Metro Rail, right? Metro Mover, excuse me. All of a sudden, we're about to get to our stop. Juju and I have masks on. Lewis doesn't. He forgot his in the car. So we've been... Juju said he had one, Lewis says. And he had it in his pocket. Whatever. We get to the point where we're supposed to leave, and then all of a sudden a security guard rushes into the Metro Mover. And if you've never seen a Metro Mover, it's essentially like a bus on wheels, like 40 feet in the
People
sky.
in other cities know what a train looks like, Tony.
It's not a train, it's a Metro Mover. It's a different story.
Right.
It's not a train.
I don't know that you totally know what this. Well, I mean, ours feels like a cheapened 1980s Orlando Disney World type
Monorail.
of thing, more than a train.
Yes.
It feels like we were trying to do something that Orlando did at Disney 40 years ago.
Yes, and it didn't work, and it's whatever.
And it's large. It's not. I won't say it's empty because plenty of people use it, but it was supposed to be some flourishing thing that transported people around a city that is hard to be transported around.
But it goes like 20 blocks.
It goes halfway across the city and then back.
The footprint is like 3 square blocks.
Again,
people drive everywhere.
A failed government effort to build something for millions of dollars that a Shark and Tony and Luis have used because there's the danger that you'll be assaulted.
So the security guard rushes in, starts grabbing Lewis and ripping him out of the door. And we're like, yo, wait, what's going on here? He's like, he doesn't have a mask, he's gotta go. And he's literally dragging Lewis by like the shirt. Lewis is like holding on to the door. Juju and I run in. And again, this is the stop. So the doors are closing. We're about to leave to the next stop. All of a sudden, we're holding the doors open. And they're like, you got to get on the train or get off. And we're like, we can't, the doors. Because they're literally closing in front of us. So we're like trying to hold them open. And like, he's got to go. You got to leave.
All while Amin is dressed as Dom Kang.
Well, no, Amin's not there yet.
I'm waiting for them at the arena. Like, where are you guys?
By yourself.
Wandering around waving
Dom
tiny
Kang.
American flags.
As I'm
Only Dom Kang.
running into coaches and players are like, hey, so what are you doing today?
I would have loved video of
Resident
that.
internet commenter Amin would have definitely diffused the situation.
Wait a minute. So you're wandering around meeting all these. Hey, what happened to you? What did Billy just do?
He's got the Metro Mover.
He looked up the Metro Mover map, so he can now confirm how small it is.
When they said a small footprint, I was like, how small are we talking?
Again, 11 blocks. So we finally diffuse the situation. We're like, he's got a mask. Come on, like let him come in. So we get onto the train and we're like, oh my God, this is crazy. We get to the next stop and I realize that was our stop. We should have actually gotten off the train.
You didn't talk about the doors.
No, I did. The doors. We were holding up the doors. Oh, the bro.
No, but no video, no content.
Oh, no. There was no video, Dan. We were again afraid for our lives. We didn't know what was going to happen. We're 30 feet up, and we're trying to hold open a door.
If only we had like, I don't know, our video guy and our social media
Not being
guy.
assaulted though.
If we had one of them there.
Dan, you got to spring into action when it happens. You know, you can't be.
But you always have to
videotaping.
be taping, I think, you know?
Well, imagine the video guys being assaulted. We don't have the video
I
to be
understand.
taped.
Right.
So the whole thing was because Lewis didn't have a mask on, though.
Correct.
Well, I just don't understand how that space in Florida, the Metro Mover space that night, is the most clearly governed in a lawless state that we have for coronavirus, where only Lewis in a city filled with Danny Martinez is spotted by an overzealous security guard governing that particular space on, again, a monorail where he could have done that to a shark recently for also being maskless.
Billy in this studio is the only person in Florida I've seen wear a mask since I moved here. Like, this is just shocking to me.
That's why again we're in litigation with the city trying to make sure that Lewis gets his fair share.
Why were you targeted? I don't understand why Lewis was targeted. Was it for that awful sneeze on our show 3 shows ago?
Spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby once got you at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey a go-go.
There we go! Now we're all drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
Get it!
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton.
Hey guys, need a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good.
I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
It's showtime, buddy.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me at Is this heaven or hell? tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the black baller. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but parlays, but face paint, but promo, but Bennings.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey
guys, need a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good.
I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl.
I have gotten to see Stugotz this week relatively in the wild. He's been wandering around, and we have new people around here. And it's funny to see new interactions with the Stugotz in its natural habitat and the way that lies and deceptions happen around here. I just want to take people through. He badly wants to do right now is Stetson Bennett a top 5 college football quarterback of all time? He wants to do that show, but I want to ask Billy some questions about God Bless Football, the award-winning God Bless Football. More popular than it has ever been, with the 5th-ranked international insider, the Dookie, calling Doug Peterson Doug Marrone, and also with Stugotz bringing his special brand of football expertise and all of Gronk's friends as well, and Carl Douglas, and an assortment of others inexplicably in a messy frat house of a podcast.
The synopsis of that podcast really is like somebody on drugs wrote together the description for a football podcast.
Well, I wrote it, but thanks.
No, I mean, just like the collective amalgam of what is on that program is really strange.
And it is distinctly Billy, distinctly Stugotz, distinctly Mikey A, and distinctly Jabba Chamberlain.
Jabba's good.
But the thing that I wanted to submit to the group, because I've witnessed it the last couple of days. First of all, John, our new head of video, made a deal with Stugotz. The door was open. He said, I'll see you Thursday at 7:30 in the morning. And I'm thinking to myself, the hell you will. Like, I don't know what was agreed to there.
I was thinking the same thing, to be honest with you.
But John has not experienced Stugotz before, and the place that I noticed the greatest of the slithers is when John said to Stugotz, I'll pick you up. And Stugotz's response is, no, you won't.
Right.
I'll take myself there, because if you pick him up, then he's got to actually go.
Right.
And
At 6 in the morning.
And so
yeah.
John thinks that Stugotz is going to be here at 7:30 on Thursday morning. No, I know. It's funny.
John was supposed to listen. John, whoever John is, he's supposed to. I mean, I'm telling you right now, he was supposed to follow up with a call yesterday afternoon. My phone did not ring. I'm just telling you right now.
And that, John, is how the excuses begin on why it is it will not be his fault that he does not submit and tell you just the truth at the beginning. But that's one thing. That's over here. The other thing that I saw this morning that I was fairly stupefied by is that Stugotz came in here and said, takes Tannenbaum, Mike Tannenbaum, who's trying to have a career reinvention from real estate agent to guy who gave Ndamukong Suh too much money with the Miami Dolphins to guy who now has takes on television after grifting his way through the Dolphins franchise.
He's good. I mean, takes Tannenbaum is good.
He's riding the Herbert momentum because he's the only one that had Herbert a few years ago. So he's just taking that. He's like, I can do it again.
He did. Instead of Tua or Burrow, he said, take Justin Herbert, and people laughed at him, and he's got takes now. But I'm pretty sure that what happened is Stugotz came here and saluted Takes Tannenbaum for saying that the Bears should trade Justin Fields.
Yes. They should trade Justin Fields, get a bunch of draft picks for Justin Fields, and reset the rookie quarterback contract on Bryce Young because they have the first pick in the draft this year.
One of the dumbest things I've ever heard, at least in part because the Bears have never had a quarterback. Jay Cutler is the best quarterback ever. As soon as they have a quarterback that creates excitement, even though you could trade all of that first-round pick, Bryce Young, if you could trade that for picks too, and keep that you have a quarterback.
Keep the quarterback you have, but then you don't reset the clock. That's what he's talking about. Right.
And you can get value at the position, but the part that's amazing to me about the story is that Stugotz had that take yesterday and can't remember whether he stole it from Tannenbaum or whether Tannenbaum stole it from him, and can't remember so much in general that he came in here saluting Takes Tannenbaum for a take that I think he himself had yesterday. And as soon as I told Stugotz that, he immediately started accusing Tannenbaum of stealing things from him.
Thief Tannenbaum. I mean, seriously. Listen, when you do this as long as we've been doing it, you have so many takes out there, okay? And even though the take that I gave that Tannenbaum stole from me was yesterday, I don't remember all the takes. You're right, I did say that yesterday. Did not praise myself when I walked in this morning. I praised Takes Tannenbaum. But you know what? I'm okay with Take stealing my take, okay? Because I've stolen takes before, and I will steal them again.
But
my takes are for everyone to share. I plant seeds, Dan.
The part I'm confused by is
I could see
how you would think that was an original take given by Takes Tannenbaum after having given the same take you yourself the day before. The question is, are you not listening to yourself?
It's this John guy, this new guy. He keeps asking me a bunch of questions in between breaks. Can you do this parade, Lamborghini? I'll pick you up. I don't remember a thing. Like, can I have a weekend?
Okay, but I think it's the weed.
That too.
But if I may, Billy, so on God Bless Football, Stugotz, during the middle of all this, Stugotz is saying, yes, I have badgered Reese Davis and every college football person on ESPN because on God Bless Football, the award-winning and popular God Bless Football, because I want them to replace on ESPN the Bear with me. It would be funny. I would make fun of McAfee. I would make picks. And I'm just wondering, Billy, what information you could give us on all of what's happening there and the discomforts that Stugotz has caused you by being Maximum Stugotz on God Bless Football.
Like what I know about him potentially replacing the Bear on College Game Day.
What you know about his solicitation of help from people. He said Reese Davis thought it was a great idea, and he also said Reese Davis will not do anything to make that actually happen.
That's Reese Davis being nice.
Reese endorsed
that's a great idea, Stugotz.
Well, that's what I said to him. I said, do me a favor, call the person in charge. Now, he did say I can use him as a reference. Reese did say I could do that. But Reese said he acknowledged you would be good at it. It would be fun. You have a resume. You have a reel because you were on the show once and you did very well. And then I gave him my gambling record and he was super intrigued, you know? But the part that intrigued him the most was me making fun of McAfee. I don't know why, but he was enthralled by that. He liked that idea. So, Billy, what can you tell?
What can I tell? Just that on every day I have a call with you where you tell me you're going to College Game Day next year. and
Congrats.
You've spoken to XYZ person who makes the decisions, and they told you that it's a sure thing, buddy, and that you'll be there next year. So, I mean, I guess, Dan, this is fair notice. Like, don't be surprised next year when Stugotz is not here. He's given you ample warning. He's told you he's leaving. He is going to do College Game Day next year.
I could do both. I mean, it's a Saturday gig, and I come back, and Monday through Friday, we do the show here. It's good exposure for us, Dano.
You are
make it happen.
You are supportive of Stugotz at every turn. God Bless Football is supporting Stugotz at every turn. And how uncomfortable are you being made, Billy, by having to eat Stugotz telling you perpetually every day, oh, yeah, it's a done deal. I'm going to get over there, when you might not yourself think that it's an actual done deal.
You know, it's the cost of doing business. I know what I'm dealing with. I know how it goes. And look, Reese Davis was on this show. So,
right.
Look, whether he ends up there or not, Reese was on God Bless Football. So, win-win for all of us, right?
I mean, Dan, you're the kind of guy that can make things like this happen. I feel like.
Yeah, why don't you make a call? Why don't you make a call for him?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Make it
ESPN
happen.
would
Things ended well.
Totally bend the rules for me.
But the guy who's in charge of that show, I believe he loves you. I mean, I do. And you love him. I mean, I don't know his name, but you do.
Well, you gotta, don't say that. Bad start.
Dan will clean it up.
You should really learn his name.
I mean, if you want the job,
It's Lee.
I would love to imagine Stugotz in that role. I don't know. What would his attire be? Would he dress like the way he dresses here? Would he dress
in a
like
quarter zip and Grateful Dead hat that's been sweated through 100 times?
Here's the problem, Stugotz, that I've
playing in the sand just 4 days away.
Here's the problem that I've kind of thought in my head when you've told me that it's going to happen. Is you want the Bears job, correct?
Well, yeah.
Which is a research and information job.
That's the issue there.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
not just the Bear sitting there and he makes 3 picks.
Right.
Like there's the other stuff that goes into it.
All the tributes to the Bear was how great a researcher he was. Like they would talk about, yes, on game day, but like a lot of talents from ESPN, like nobody gives better research than that guy. You gonna be doing that for Herbie?
I'll hire someone, to do that for me.
Sublet.
Is it hiring if you don't pay them? Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Have you hired somebody if they are working for you, but you are not paying them?
It's called an internship.
That's right. Have a staff of interns.
Exactly.
Thank
you, Greg.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy imagining the crew looking to Stugotz for research and information and then getting Stugotz.
Because what happens is
Alabama.
No, like Herb Street he'll say things like, it was a big year for straws, biggest year ever.
It would be. We could put a parrot on the set and just say Alabama, and Stugotz wants that job. Stugotz would show up every Saturday, even if they said the job was just come on screen and say Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Desmond Howard, what are your thoughts on Wisconsin football this year? Well, I had this prep sheet in front of me, and all it says is Nick Saban. So, Nick Saban.
The research would all be Alabama's good. This is what I love, that Stugotz over the last 2 months of the college football season was glorified for taking the controversial take of, I believe Alabama's good.
I was right, though.
Yeah, right you were. Yes.
He wins.
Why hasn't that been updated to Georgia yet? I mean, it probably should be sometime soon. You should update your do it against Alabama to do it against Georgia.
No, Georgia needs to do it against Alabama. I mean,
they did.
No,
they didn't. No.
He won the national championship.
Right, but they
against
didn't play,
Alabama.
They didn't play Alabama.
Well, last year they did.
No, that's
right. But I don't feel like you should win a national championship unless you've beaten Alabama.
Correct.
I do.
Correct.
No, he's right.
Thank you.
You're right. No, I'm with you on that, Dave.
Yes.
Georgia is now the gold standard.
Okay,
Georgia is now Alabama.
But this is all I'm saying. They would have been favored against 3 of the 4 teams in the college football playoff.
What's the one of them?
Alabama.
No, the one they would be favored against is Georgia.
Georgia would have been a 3-point favorite.
Georgia's the gold standard now.
Okay, but the game's not over at halftime, is my point. Like,
That's
we're
fair.
enjoying a good college football game last night, if indeed it is Georgia and Alabama. I don't need to look at losses. I'm not one of those people, okay? I look at Alabama. I look at the body of work. I look at the conference they play in. I look at the 2 losses, and then I put them in the playoff because they lost at Tennessee, who was playing better than anyone in the country at the time, and they lost at LSU.
please.
They should have been there.
Okay.
Dan, send that reel to whatever his name is.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Greg Cody, for 2 weeks now, has been wanting to talk. I don't know why. I really have no idea. I don't know if someone gifted him something on Christmas. But for 2 weeks, Greg Cody, who is very reluctant to change at this point in his life, he is a dinosaur. And I would argue at this point, if he's not allergic to learning, it's not something that he wants in his life. I think this is
Thank you.
This is something that is true of men of a certain age. That change, evolution, not for me anymore. I don't know what that age is. My dad has been there for decades, where it's like decades, plural, where it's like, nope, not learning anymore. I'm done with the learning. I've learned enough. I know what it is that needs to be known, and that makes me not a know-it-all, but it's all I will know.
That's the right attitude.
That's where my father has arrived.
Go,
Greg
Poppy.
Cody has made the change of he now has a wallet. As other people are going the other way on this, the wallet is disappearing. The wallet is somewhere from endangered to extinct. Greg Cody, for some reason, has now said, my evolution is the wallet.
It was very emotional getting rid of my old wallet, but the time had come. It was, it was tough. I wanted to keep it. My wife made me throw it away. She watched me throw it away. And
she forced you to throw it away and then watched you to make sure you would.
Yeah, and I'm integrating a new wallet into my life.
Didn't trust you. She did not trust you.
No, she didn't.
Was she right to not trust you?
Yes.
Would you,
Yes,
you would have pulled it back out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is what usually happens, though. The wife usually makes you get a new wallet. That's what happened to me, too.
Right, yeah.
Me too.
Well, this was my first
Did she take the garbage bag and immediately throw it away?
No, she should have, though, because I was going to pick through it and save my wallet. Save the whale, save the wallet.
People aren't using wallets anymore.
Well, I do. Damn right I do.
Yeah.
As a matter of principle, I use a wallet. There might not be $1 in there, but
there usually isn't.
There usually isn't, especially on Tuesdays because I know I'll be fined and it's easier to say I don't have any money.
That's a heady play.
Thank you.
I've accused Greg Cody of reaching into his wallet for cobwebs for 30 years.
Yeah, you have.
And been right.
Well, that's a bad reputation I have of being cheap. It really is.
Because you never have money.
Can we talk about?
Is it an earned one?
Can we talk about the Seinfeld tickets that he bought for my mom?
Oh God.
For Christmas. All right, so this is what happened. This is a good story. This is a classic Greg Cody
I
story.
want to hear about the new wallet.
Yeah,
Okay, because this is about my dad being a little cheap, so like we can go back to it.
No,
Sorry.
I'll hold on to the Seinfeld story and we'll continue with the wallet. Thank you. Billy and Stugotz have spoken on this. They'd like to continue hearing your father's wallet story, and the Seinfeld stories that you think are good are going to have to wait for a second.
The wallet has no place for a photograph. Okay? I have pictures in my wallet. Christopher's 4 years old. My wife looks like she did when I married her. Beautiful photos that mean a lot to me. They're in my wallet, but hidden because there's no place for a photo in my wallet. Now,
Hey, you're talking about something that's transparent, like a little
slot.
laminate
Photo
of some
slot.
sort.
I open my wallet now, and I can't see my photo.
You realize that people are, I
Yes.
don't believe, still carrying around photos. They're
Well,
all
that's
in
their
phones.
problem, not mine.
Most of our audience has no clue that there's ever been photos in wallets.
Not making them like they used to, Greg.
That's
Yeah,
true.
you're right.
I have photos in my wallet.
Guillermo,
Thank
put it
you,
on
Billy.
the
Your
poll.
ID.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Do you have any photos, family photos, in your wallet? Billy
Right.
does have. Are they photos of your entire
Photo of
family?
my wife right behind
Beautiful.
my license. Yeah, little
Very nice.
Polaroid. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so it's behind your license, though.
Yeah, I can't
You have
put
to
it.
work for it to see it.
It's a
That's
gap.
my point.
But
Right.
again, you're talking about a wallet that no longer exists, I don't think, which is that laminate 4 pictures in a wallet. I don't
Right.
think that's being sold
I know,
anymore.
much to my chagrin. I should have bought my own wallet. I would have hunted high and low. I would have gone into every retail store in America to find the one manufacturer that still has the laminate slide where I can put my thing in there. I see it. It's. I don't have to leaf through, go behind Panera Bread, gift cards or
Yeah.
whatever the hell they are.
Right.
I just see my photo when I open my billfold, and now I can't.
I think the rise in failure rate of marriages has gone up because of the fact that photos in the wallet have gone down. Like if you look
Yeah.
it up, I'm sure that there's a chart that shows
I think you're right.
like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yep.
am I gonna partake in infidelity?
That's a
Let's
great
check my
point.
wallet.
That's
No,
a great
there's my
point
wife
by
and
Billy.
kids.
Yep.
You know, when I open my wallet now, there's no evidence I have a wife or a kid.
Sometimes you just want to open the wallet for a smile. You want to
Yes.
smile. You want it to take, you wanted to take you to a happy place. You're not looking for money. In your case, you never have money, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to smile.
The exact opposite.
See
When
the
I open my
fam.
wallet, I'm sad because I'm spending money.
But imagine if your family photos were in there. You'd be
Right.
happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
My-
Happy place.
My mental
Depression.
health is in decline because I can't open my wallet and see photos of loved ones. It's tough. I'm dealing with it, but it's tough.
Isn't the replacement for the photo in the wallet the phone screensaver? You
Yeah.
can just put a picture of people you love on as your phone homepage, and you see the people in your life that you love, and that's it.
Well,
homepage.
Your phone is
yeah,
your new
but-
wallet, though. Now you carry your credit card information.
Your
on phone.
wallpaper.
So
Wallpaper.
What?
What do I have? I got a blue sky in the back of mine.
That a
Yeah.
boy.
So you replace it with a picture of your children.
Why? And then my beloved wife and kids are in back of a bunch of
Apps on their
SIGs.
heads.
Apps,
Exactly
that's
right.
the word.
Right.
Little
What'd you call
SIGs of SIGs.
Yeah.
What did you, that's
Apps.
what you called them? You
Yeah,
called
what are
them
these?
apps? The word apps eludes you.
I wonder how long.
These are SIGs.
I wonder how
little
long
logos.
my dad would have to sit there looking at his phone to get a photo from the phone to the background.
I wouldn't know how to do
That's
it.
what I mean.
Nor
Like, if
do
we
I
just-
intend to
we
do
should
it.
do it after the show.
Or like
Just
maybe the
just
post game
film him
show.
until
The post game show should
No.
just be Greg stares at his phone until he figures out how to put a photo.
He
as his
doesn't
background.
want it there, though. He
I don't
wants
want
it in
it
his
there.
wallet.
In his wallet,
Yeah,
That's
exactly
where he'd
right.
like it.
They
That's
don't
where it's
get
been
it.
his whole life. It's where he'd like it to be.
That's right.
Do
These
you
are
think if-
marriages that are going to end.
Do you think if Macy's, if you went to Macy's on a Sunday and looked for a wallet that had a photo slot, that you could find one? I don't think you could find one.
1,000%
I
you
think,
could
I think,
find one.
I think you can go to any department store on Earth and you wouldn't
Why
find
would you say
a wallet.
1,000% you could find
There
one?
is, I'm telling you right now, there is no way, okay? Wallet sales are probably down, granted, okay? But there is no way there's not a wallet out there that still doesn't have the photos.
Wallets had their best year ever.
That's the first admission you've ever had to a company not killing it.
No, wallets have to be down. I mean, they do. It stands to reason. But I refuse to believe that there are no wallets out there that have a photo album. I refuse to believe it. They're still around.
I don't think
Greg,
wallet
I'm gonna
sales are
find you
down.
one. I'm not.
Thank you.
But
Well, thank you for the effort.
I don't think wallet sales are down.
I'll
I just
check
think
at
that they've taken
wallet.com.
different forms.
Yeah.
It's now the phone case that has slots in it.
I
They're-
don't like
they're
that.
rich
Nice.
wallets,
Not
thin
a
wallets.
wallet.
Like
No,
yeah, we
those
have
don't
one.
count.
We have one courtesy of our friends at DraftKings.
No,
that
those
has
don't
a
count.
couple cards in there.
Nope.
It looks
Sorry.
much cooler. It looks much less dated than what you're talking about, which is laminated. Yours is more sentimental. It's
Thank you.
much nicer from a different time,
Right.
but it doesn't look as surgically clean as what Roy just held up.
Who is America's #1 wallet manufacturer? And I'm going to write down the answer because I want to give them a call today. Give them a piece
The
of my
most
mind.
famous makers of wallets.
Yeah.
You're asking the question of who has sold wallets better than any wallet company
Right.
ever. Who I don't know the answer to that. I
Right.
don't know who makes a signature wallet.
And how did they name the wallet? Was it named like John Wallet?
Yeah.
Was the guy who invented it? I mean, how does that work? What is the name of the premier wallet maker in
I
America?
think it was Steve.
Steve Wallet.
Steve Billfold.
Bill Folds. That was his name, Bill Folds. You've heard of Ben Folds. His father, Bill Fold, invented the wallet.
The joke was funny enough that Bill Folds. You didn't have to take it the next step.
It wanted the next step.
Didn't want, you
it
almost
wanted the
want
Ben Folds. Yes.
No, it didn't need it.
Yeah,
it didn't need it. It didn't need it.
Oh, yeah. It's another at bat.
You do that.
Bunt down the line. Beating it out for a single.
This is an argument I've had with him for 30 years.
Cesar Tovar.
All right, I'm going to explain the whole thing to everybody.
Please do.
Because he's now just shouting gibberish into the air. But he's been doing that to me for 30 years. Here's the joke. Greg Cody believes that when it comes to humor, the most important thing is at bats. In the 60s or 70s, Cesar Tovar led the league in at bats because he'd just go up there and take a bunch of swings, and he'd bat 600 times a season.
Yep.
I tell Greg Cody, quit striking out, quit with the fielder's choices, quit with the pop-ups. He's like, nope, always a bloop single to left.
Yes.
I'm Cesar Tovar. I take swings.
The Texas Leaguer. And my strategy is now de rigueur in baseball. It's all strikeouts or home runs.
However, this is where it doesn't work in humor. Bill Folds would have sufficed. Then he told the story of his brother Ben.
Ben was his son. Ben Folds' father, Bill Folds, invented. Now, why Ben Folds added the S to his name?
Right, the Folds.
It's weird.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, his father was Bill Fold. That's a good enough name for anybody. The Fold family name. Nobody answered me. Who's the wallet manufacturer? Who's the Cadillac of wallet makers in America?
We'll get you an answer in a second.
Okay, thank you.
Chris Cody on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody.
With Greg Cody.
It's fine.
That podcast is a wandering, meandering tribute to narcissism where you and Yeti, your producer, really know Greg Cody well, and you bleep with him all show. And I'd rename the podcast to Harassing an Old Person.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And on that podcast, did you discuss the Seinfeld story, or is this an exclusive to our show?
We did discuss it on Christmas. So my mom, before Christmas was like, hey, let's go to Jerry Seinfeld. So she bought 4 tickets for my mom, my dad, and a couple that they're friends with. So that was before Christmas. So on Christmas, you can imagine my mom's shock when she opened a gift and got Seinfeld tickets from Greg Cody for Christmas. It had already been discussed. He knew that they had tickets. So it actually ended up.
I've forgotten.
So what actually ended up happening, bank error in my favor, I ended up getting those extra 2 that my dad bought because my parents already had tickets. So we learned the difference between tickets my mom buys and tickets my dad buys. And I'm not complaining because I got them for free. I'll sit anywhere to watch Jerry Seinfeld. But the idea that my dad, in his mind, had my mom, which is like in our family, the Dan Le Batard. So for all the people out there who don't know my mom, imagine Dan Le Batard walking up to the second to last row in the Broward Auditorium. I'm telling you, I don't want to sound like, I deserve better seats. I'm good with them, but he bought them originally intended for my mom.
Who knows where the seats are when you buy a seat?
That's a great question.
Are you kidding me?
No.
You never know.
You never know.
Greg.
Billy's right. You never know.
In his defense, I imagine he just saw the price.
Then they throw letters in there sometimes.
I imagine my dad just saw the price and was like, these have to be good seats. Because Jerry Seinfeld tickets aren't cheap. So he probably saw 150, 200 and was like, this can't be a bad seat. Technically, if Jerry, like the good seats were going for whatever. My mom and him ended up sitting 5th row, like they could see up Jerry's nose. For me and my wife, Jerry was, and at this, the Broward Center for Performing Arts, they don't have this. When you're up top, you expect a screen.
It's big. No, that is a big auditorium,
Yes.
and if you were 1 row from the back, you could barely see Jerry Seinfeld.
He was little, and they don't have a screen. Like Hard Rock Live has an upper deck, but they at least have a big screen, so if you're up there, you can see his face. It could have been someone else. I don't know it was Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay,
It sounded like him.
so-
But the joke here, it's not about me. I'm good with those seats. The idea that my dad was going to have my mom, who has, I think one time bought Elton John tickets for my dad, where they ended up on stage for the encore. This is the kind of money my mom drops for tickets.
Well, your father's cheap,
Right, that's why I wanted to bring this up before.
cheap.
And so it was just me and my wife were cackling at each other, walking up the stairs, imagining my mom sitting in the second to last row.
She would never have let me forget that.
It was so good.
Your mother.
Chris, were you, as you were walking up the seats at one point, did you get to the point where you were rooting for it to be the last row?
Yes, I got lightheaded. It was really high up there. It was honestly like you said, Dan, with no screens, Jerry could have fit in between my two little fingers right here. I'm like, that's how big Jerry was.
It's a comedy show. You just got to hear it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Hear the
Thank
jokes.
you, Billy.
Jerry projected better. His opener, I literally could not follow some of his jokes.
Yeah, he was a mumbler, the opening act.
I've got a couple of observations from all of that because put it on the poll, Guillermo, please. Did you know that Jerry Seinfeld was 68 years old? The reason that I bring it up is because Stugotz, walking into that center that night, I was floored by the number of walkers in the demo.
Right.
Walkers. People walking with walkers. Because Jerry Seinfeld is 68 years old, and my wife tripped over a cane.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I'm not joking when I tell you, because his comedy holds up. It is hard to age in that business. Steve Martin, one of the people I admire the most because he keeps evolving. But Jerry Seinfeld's doing a good amount of recycled material now, stuff he knows that works, and it still works. And to see him performing at 68, still at the top of his craft, because he's a pro's pro. He's just exceptional at there. I am fascinated forever by the craftsmanship of what it takes to do that. I cannot wait for Chris Rock's special, because these guys are now aging. They all marvel at Chappelle, but Chappelle and Chris Rock are touring now, and Chris Rock is about to do a live special on Netflix when he's never been good live as an actor on Saturday Night Live. He was a stiff as an actor. He's not a very good actor, but he's one of the great stand-up comedians of all time, and he's risking it live. He's doing it without a net. As these guys age, as it becomes more and more difficult to age, as Greg Cody won't change his wallet or doesn't want to change anything, I'm curious how the audience would experience Jerry Seinfeld into his 70s, because it would appear that he's going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I was surprised when my wife told me he was 68, because I think his humor skews a little bit younger than that, partly because he's still got a 17-year-old son at home. Like, he had kids very late in life. So for him to be able to do the teenager at home joke is unusual for a guy that age. And he also had a funny line about how kids are like little baby alligators. You know, they start off so cute, and by the time they're full grown, you want them get the hell out of my house.
He delivered it better than that.
But it holds up to us. But there were precious few teenagers at the actual show.
That's
like
true.
That's
yeah.
Like, is that really holding up? Does it hold up? It holds up to me and you and old people.
No,
Right.
maybe not. Maybe not, because comedy does not age well generally, and it is a real balancing act to try and do what he's still doing at his age. But the craft of it is something that is really expert. And when I say so much recycled material, like, this is a man who's had every success. He had an airplane hangar filled with cars, and he still worries about new material, where he'll be in a kitchen in Cleveland bent over, because it's a scary thing to get out in front of people and not know. I say this way, and then I pause for laughter, and it happens every time. I just pause for laughter. It's always going to be there for me, because I'm just up here playing the same instrument musically. I saw him in college before Seinfeld became popular, and I was like, oh, he's doing the same act he was doing the last time I saw him. And there was a lot of recycled material in the act, because he always knows, and the symbol for boron, stop, get the laugh, go all over the country and get the laugh.
Mm-hmm. People are so predisposed to love him, though, because of the eponymous sitcom, that he doesn't have to win over any audience. You come to that show knowing you're going to laugh, expecting to laugh, wanting to laugh. There's no salesmanship on his part. He just opens his mouth and people laugh. because it's funny, but also because it's Seinfeld.
You mentioned Chris Rock before. Are we prepared to say that the slap was good for him yet? Can we go down that path? Because I'm not saying Chris Rock's obviously an iconic comedian before that slap, but does he get the first live Netflix thing? People are excited to hear this special. I think mainly, like, at least partly because of that incident.
Slap was good.
He's got to address it, right?
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But he hasn't been. He's been this.
I imagine he's saving it for that.
But this is okay. I wonder though, because he's touring the country rehearsing material, and there've been leaks and drabs on stuff he has done in these shows. But what Seinfeld was doing, he's looking at notes. We were watching a practice run of Seinfeld's on Friday night. That's not Seinfeld at the top of his craft. That's Seinfeld doing a show for thousands of people as he rehearses and practices whatever his Netflix special is going to be.
Mm-hmm. And he admitted it. He acknowledged he was looking at notes, which I liked.
But it seems like he's fallen into like he's the Billy Joel of comedians now. You know exactly what you're going to get. He gives you the Piano Man. He gives you Captain Jack. I mean,
and you want that.
Well, you want it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if it's aging well, though.
Well, what do you want a 68-year-old to talk
A
about?
new
TikTok?
act. I don't know.
What's he supposed to do?
No, because Dan's talking about how it's aging so well, and he's still great.
Oh, but he's
still
so
relevant.
topical. He's talking about TikTok and streaming and aging out and demographics.
Like Chris Cody, did you find it as funny as your dad?
I was just saying back here, I found it funny.
Right.
I thought there was one stretch of his marriage stuff, like in the middle. There was like a 10 or 15 minute that I was like blown away by. But he's kind of playing the notes. Like he's such an assassin and so mechanical with it that he has a lot of the same, like the way he starts a joke, the way he, like, you could just tell that he's almost like inserting the words to just the mechanic. Like he uses the same mechanics. I love watching him, and I did enjoy it. But there were some times.
If only you could have seen him.
Right. If only I could have seen him. Like I said, I don't know it was him.
Could have been a body double.
The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets. Ah, the Jets! The Jets!
spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Justin Kane?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby, one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
Get it! I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey guys,
Need a shotgun of beer or what?
I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
It's showtime, buddy.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me and as is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the black baller. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. heaven or hell, I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but parlays, but face paint, but promo, but weddings.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to run and avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea.
All right, we've got a problem back here, lads. Do we have?
Well, one person has a problem.
One person's in some deep shit.
What happened?
Roy Bellamy, producer of this program, has forgotten his wedding anniversary,
Which is today.
Yeah,
which is today.
No.
It's today.
And,
Wow,
and he has.
Boy,
What
So-
jogged your memory?
what
Just
happened?
Her
His wife,
texting me.
his wife texting him.
oh
Jeez.
no, Roy, how many years of marriage is that?
Oh,
Eight. No!
Eight.
At least get that number right.
Are you sure?
I think.
Okay.
So we were ready to help him and fill the breach with the ways that you dance around this, but Roy has already given answers that are
He
not
keeps
good enough.
botching it.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
chance he
Yeah.
has to save it, he's
Yeah.
like kind of botching it.
I told him, I was like, your response should be to that. Be ready at 6:30 because we got big plans tonight.
Okay. This is what happened.
Instead of what he said, which was, do you want to go to dinner tonight?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happened. Roy got up, he took a shower, his wife was gone. They didn't have a conversation. We're like, Roy, fine. That's okay. You can survive that. Then his wife texted him happy anniversary. And we're like, okay, it's forgivable.
Oh my God.
You guys,
She lobbed it up for you.
Wait,
It's
but time out. This
forgivable.
is the first acknowledgement by either of you
but
of said
Roy-
anniversary.
Via text, but they didn't see each other this morning.
Okay.
But wait a minute.
All right.
Wait, he could have forgotten at that point and gotten away with it.
100%. 100% he could have. But as the story goes, he then waited, texted back happy anniversary, and said, do you want to go to dinner? I believe he said he waited an hour.
An hour.
No, I texted back happy anniversary. An hour later, I asked her if she wanted to go to dinner tonight.
Was there an emoji?
There was an emoji.
Exclamation mark? What emoji was it?
Yeah.
I believe it was
very
party
important.
hats.
It was what?
Party hats.
Oh, party hats.
That's what you could know.
Is that an Android emoji? Like, I don't know what
Party
that
hats
is.
is for happy
she
hour.
sent me a party hat and smiley face with the
Oh,
laughable
hang on a
back.
second. No,
A little
the
heart
return-
might have worked.
Dude,
Yeah.
the return
Wait,
is
what is
happy
it?
anniversary. The A in anniversary is not capitalized. There are
Oh,
no
Lord.
exclamation points. There's
He's
nothing.
working.
God.
I mean,
Throw a little
I
heart on there as well.
Literally walked
Exactly.
into the building today, and that text hit me. And can you believe I turned white?
So that's when you come into the room and you're like, lads, I got a problem. I've forgotten, and we all get together.
You want him?
Yeah.
Lads, you want Roy to come in here as he says, I turned white, and say, lads, I've got a problem.
Right, and we all would have jumped into action. We've had so many ideas for Roy in the last 10 minutes during our break to figure out how we solve this conundrum, and none of them worked because he already replied with the lowercase a in anniversary.
Yeah, I could definitely have used you 3.5 hours ago.
Well, you didn't tell us. You needed to tell us.
Here's the thing here.
No, but it dawned on me what's bothering Whittingham is just the lowercase
Yeah,
a.
it's weird. The punctuation.
Seriously, why is that a felony? A lowercase a.
Like the lowercase
half-ass
h, lowercase
effort,
b, happy birthday is just it connotes no emotion.
You didn't even take the time to correctly type it.
It's not a holiday.
It's not.
It is in your house. It is in your house.
You're making it worse.
What
Shut
are
up.
you doing, buddy? What are you
Don't say
doing?
those things. Roy, you first of all, don't ask, hey, would you like to go to dinner an hour after you just said happy anniversary with no punctuation, no excitement, and got no response.
No capital A.
No heart,
calor.
nothing.
No amor.
Nothing.
Nada.
No
Sazón. Nada.
Amen, brother.
Well, here's the thing.
Seco.
Claire has soccer practice.
Please,
Give me a break.
enough.
Soccer practice.
Roy,
Take a
at
day
coach
off.
soccer, like 3 kids show up to every practice. Like, you don't have to.
Right.
Jesus
Right.
Christ.
And soccer's dead anyway.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So it's not necessary
for this.
I think
That's
the
on
question
you.
here now is, we're here now.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well,
We have to help them.
We can and we will, but I think this has been dug deep here. Can I just go back to reading the text, though, because I want to hear the exchange and I want to know what the emojis are. Are you an emoji person? Because if there was an emoji sent from you with a party hat, I would have described it as the most expressive Roy has ever been.
I am not an emoji.
Not surprising.
No,
okay.
not at all. No.
She writes to you happy anniversary. At this point, you can still get out of having forgotten, but you just write happy anniversary back. She knows Roy. She loves Roy. She understands that that this is not a strength. That the emoting, the great emoting is not really Roy.
I'm very stoic in real life and in text as well.
Okay, but do you believe she was hurt by that? Because it's not much of an effort for you to type back happy anniversary. And at this point, she still doesn't know that you've forgotten, but you're not trying very hard.
That's correct. I think she detected the half-ass effort that I put
What is
forward.
the honesty here, though, Roy? Like, did you forget until she texted you, or
I
were you aware it was?
absolutely forget.
Okay.
Don't say that on the radio.
She's gonna listen to this, Roy. I was trying to help you. I was trying to help
Lord.
you out here.
Well, I'm not very good. I'm not a liar.
This
so.
is what you say. You said, of course I remembered. I have big things planned for when she gets home today. I have flowers. I have XYZ gift. I have all these things.
Oh,
but
she has
weren't-
practice. Now I have to cancel the marching band.
Exactly. Oh, you know what? I actually arranged for someone to take her, but you don't say who because you haven't arranged that yet. Now is when you start arranging for who's going to go. Chris Cody
Yeah, I can do
take
it.
exactly. Chris Cody can take Claire to soccer practice. You said, I've made arrangements. Don't worry. Claire's going to be the next Mia Hamm. She can't possibly miss one soccer practice. That would just throw off her career trajectory as a soccer player forever.
To take Claire to soccer practice?
Uncle Chris, yeah, he's
Exactly.
ready.
You just find someone that will. You say, "Don't worry, that's handled." Then you find someone, and if you don't, then you say, "I can't believe Chris told me he would do it, and what a piece of crap! He fell through at the last one." Now we can't go through with all the grand plans that I had. But now is
And
when
then
you
it's my
start.
fault. Wait.
Exactly. Now yeah, but you're not in the marriage, so it doesn't matter.
What are you doing?
You need to spend this time, Roy, making plans of what you're going to do to salvage the fact that you forgot about it. And instead, you're showing your hand. You're like, oh, forgot. Hey, do you want to maybe do something? And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that the next text was, okay, you plan it, and then let me know what we're doing.
Oh, my goodness.
Because that's the
No.
direction this is headed in.
Well, let's hear what the back and forth is, please. Chris,
Okay.
you're playing Whittingham. You're playing the role of a need here, and Roy is playing the role
With a capital A.
of Roy. So let's go back and forth, Roy.
It's an E.
You read your texts, and Whittingham
Jesus
will
Christ, man.
read
Thought her
a
name
need.
was a need.
All right, so what is the celebration that like starts with like a cone? It's sort of like upside down and like confetti is coming out of
party,
it. Yeah, it's like a
happy,
party. Yeah,
happy
yeah.
New Year,
All right, so
party festivities.
Happy
Poppers.
anniversary! Capital H, capital A, exclamation point,
Here's
party
the-
hat with confetti coming out, and smiley face.
You sound like Siri.
Happy anniversary.
And yours was, and it was yours.
It was at 8:12 a.m. Royce and happy anniversary.
Not
no capital A.
misspelled, not misspelled, but no capital A.
Lowercase A,
Yes,
yeah.
and she sent the text at 7:56 a.m.
Right, so 16 minutes in between.
Stop blaming your wife.
Now, at this point, when she's writing to you happy anniversary, do you think at this point she's realized when, oh, I've got to send this, he's forgotten?
Most likely.
I mean, it's early. It's early enough that it's plausible that the text is coming. Yeah. But
that feels like a text to me that is not wishing you a happy anniversary. It's reminding you forgot our anniversary.
Yes. These are old timers. These are veterans talking to you now. 100%. It's in the marriage game. They've done the translations over the years. So many between them. Do you understand how many anniversaries they've forgotten?
Yeah. I followed up with, do you want to go out to dinner tonight?
Oh, God, what a bad one.
Yeah.
Let's try to channel energy toward the weekend. We can go to dinner. It'd have to be after soccer, though.
Okay.
Channel energy towards the weekend.
Yeah,
Hell
what does
yeah.
that mean?
I mean, it's a
You
3-day
know.
weekend.
You have time to find a babysitter. You can go on a nice dinner. You can do something.
Yeah, but she's probably thinking Roy should have already done that, like
Probably.
for today.
Yeah,
And on Monday, she's going to be like, is this for our anniversary or are we doing Martin Luther King Day today?
Happy birthday. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing.
I think
we're celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King.
I have a solution. I know what needs to happen. It'll make it all right in the world. Roy has to write a poem.
Well, Stugotz hasn't written his poem yet. You expect
Not
me
my
I think
anniversary.
before you go home today,
Yeah, you gotta write a poem.
There needs to be a
that
poem.
would be good. Roy, if you showed up with a poem, a poem.
Now, Juju recommends in our Zoom chat. Tell Dan to FaceTime Kenny G and boom.
Wow.
So I feel like what we all
I did that for my wife, just so you know.
Really?
Yep. I've done it.
How'd it go?
How did that go?
Well, what on stupidity? I mean,
No, I meant for like, did it go over well with your wife? Like, how'd it
she
go?
loved it.
Of course
Who
she
doesn't
did.
love Kenny G, especially on a romantic night?
Over FaceTime.
Maybe.
Baby.
I want to read a tweet here from somebody who is, I think, reacting to something from earlier in the week when Andy Joseph writes, "No one is forcing anyone to play professional football, and no one is forcing you to watch professional football. If you don't like it, stop commenting on NFL-related posts, and can you go watch figure skating instead?"
He's that guy.
Figure skating gets thrown around a lot in these circumstances when men are going to be men and be tougher than you.
Go watch figure skating.
Go watch.
Get away from the man stuff.
I love figure skating. I don't know how anyone
Good
else
shout.
feels.
Yeah.
I do.
Skating's fun.
Dangerous sport as well.
Yeah, very
Incredibly
dangerous.
talented performers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those blades, man, they're so sharp. You could, jugular veins come into play. and the
Right.
whole
You
bit.
believe figure skating is incredibly dangerous?
More
I
dangerous
do.
than hockey.
I do.
Well,
I wonder.
Well,
I wonder if. I bet you it probably is
Incredibly
dangerous.
hard, man.
Well, yes, doing
Yes.
flips and landing on a razor
yeah.
edge, sort of thin metal band on ice. Yes,
Yeah,
that
ice don't
seems
give.
hard.
Ice don't give.
I'm telling you, Scott Hamilton is one of the most underrated athletes
Iceman.
we've ever seen. The Iceman, you're right. Yeah.
All right, so we should clip this, put this on social media, and there we go. We've talked about figure skating.
all right.
So how do you salvage your marriage?
You got to go big, Roy.
Write a poem, I'm telling you.
Can you help him with it?
Roses are red, violets are blue. I forgot our anniversary. I love you.
There you go.
Yeah, but
All right,
for
yeah.
Roy, it would be like
Yeah, let's
roses
do
are
better.
red, violets are blue. I forgot our anniversary, and so did you.
Whoa!
I think we want to avoid
Combative.
Yeah, you're right.
in the poem
Yeah.
to
Nothing
fix
wrong.
it.
We're just spitballing
the
here.
confession of forgetting the anniversary, which I'm still not positive she knows.
And blame. Yeah, don't blame.
We don't know. Right now, you're not positive that she knows that you forgot the anniversary.
70-30, Dan. Right now, I believe that she does know.
In fairness to Anid, maybe she thinks, you know what? I can wish my husband a happy anniversary first, and it doesn't need to come from him first. And if you
It's very heteronormative of us to assume that
it's a hoe.
No, it's just
who?
no. It's,
men have to send it first.
It has nothing to do with whether
What
you're
was
the male
that?
or the female. You want to be first. It has nothing to do with.
I was struggling to say the. I mean,
every anniversary. There's a winner and a loser.
That's right.
The winner
That's
is the person who says it first. And this year, Roy lost.
I'm 0 for 8, Chris.
But the key is when you lose the
Something
game.
in your calendar,
The difference is
It's in the calendar.
Roy,
I
the
didn't see it, though.
difference is when you lose, you got to seem like you were prepared, and you didn't. You just like basically you put up your hands and you're like, oh, I completely forgot. Happy anniversary to you too.
So you're saying stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Oh, you've done a terrible. I mean, Roy, what I've got to imagine the audience listening right now is simply horrified that any of this has happened.
Horrified by your honesty. Lie to her.
Lie to her, yes. Right. Because that's what marriage is all about. Yeah.
The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets. The Jets.
The GOAT? The kicker. I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at backing. He's meant to our decade teams.
A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls.
And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified gold.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all. The greatest of all time. You're the greatest
The greatest of all time.
Huzzah! After an incredible season, the big game is finally here.
Ugh, have fun. I don't even care who's